So the reason webinars don't work for financial advisors and RIAs is because one, they don't have a strategy in place. And number two, they don't actually know the step-by-step process to actually put the webinar in place. Or number three, which is actually a mix of both. They don't know the strategy and they don't know how to actually put it in place. Hey, my name is Chung Tang with More Customers Online and AUMclients.com, where I help financial advisors get pre-educated people and people who are pre-qualified to schedule an appointment with them, who already know what they do and how they do it, and have an open mind to having that conversation about how the advisor and RIA can actually help. Now, I won't tell you about that in this video. You can learn more about that at AUMclients.com. But right now, let's actually look at why webinars don't always work and exactly what you can do to make sure they work. So let's actually look at the strategy first. So the webinar strategy is actually creating a webinar around a specific topic that you're already confident in. So let's say you do a topic on the Secure Act. And so the way that you want to create the webinar is that you want to create it around what you do and how you do it. And so let's say how you do it is basically 6 steps, right? There's 6 steps to take a prospective client from where they are to where they want to be, right? And then the 6 steps is basically your vehicle, your process to help them get there. So your webinar is actually an overview of the 6 steps. You know, it's a bird's eye view. And then on that webinar, you can either go wide and touch on each of the steps to get them from where they're at to where they want to go, or you can touch on the 6 steps and then go deep in one of the steps, right? And so that's really the strategy around creating the webinar, how you want to create the webinar. And so let's talk about how to actually promote the webinar. Well, you promote the webinar by taking out, like, say, one of the steps, right? Or one of the other items in the other steps. And then you create a piece of content and ads around it. So the strategy to drive people to your webinar is actually creating content and ads based on one of the steps. So you can say step 1 is to, get clear on exactly what you have. So you can create a video or a piece of content around the importance of getting clarity on what your current financial situation is. And then create a video around that. And then the call to action is basically to drive them to the webinar. So that's the strategy of how to create the webinar and then how to promote the webinar along with what kind of content to actually create. Now, let's actually talk about the step-by-step to actually put it in place, okay? So once you have the webinar in place, right, you've recorded the webinar. So you recorded the webinar, and then you would upload it to Wistia or Vimeo, right? And now you want to take that video, you want to embed it on a page on your website. So what you want to do is you want to create a page on your website. I call it the educate page. And this is the page that you would embed your actual webinar video in there, okay? And so that's one of the steps. The other step is you want to create another page called the schedule page. And the schedule page is where people will go after they've watched your webinar in order to book an appointment. So on that page, you're going to have a simple video on the top that basically gives them a 3 to 5 minute overview of what you do and how you do it, just to remind them of what they've just watched, and then to actually make a strong and compelling offer for them to book an in-person or a phone appointment with you. And then below that video is actually an online calendar where they can select a date and time, complete a simple questionnaire in order to book an appointment with you. So that's page number 2. That's step 2. Step 3 in the setup process is you want a show up page. So I call this a show up page because it's where people go after they click schedule an appointment. And the purpose of the show up page is just that. It's to get them to show up for the appointment. It's to get people who booked an appointment to actually show up for an appointment. So on that page, you're going to tell them exactly what they can expect between now and the time of their appointment. So you want to have a simple video. You want to tell them they're going to be getting emails or text messages and a quick phone call to confirm their spot and really give them some information for what they can actually expect. Because again, what we want is we want people who actually book an appointment to show up for the appointment, right? And then also you might even send them some resources, again, part of that video and the emails that go out and the text messages that farther gets them educated and further pre-qualifies them so that when they show up for the appointment, they're very, very clear on what you do, how you can help them, and they're coming in with an open mind of how you can actually help them. So that's really step 3, the show up page. And then the final page that you want to have is what I call the capture page. And the capture page is the page that you would drive your content and your ads to. And this is the page that people complete a form to register for your webinar. So right after when they hit the capture page, they're going to complete a little form, and then after they complete the form to register for the webinar, they're going to be redirected to the actual webinar. So just to recap, all right, the strategy to create the webinar is you want to create it around what you do and how you help them. And let's just say you want to break that down into 3 steps or 5 steps, but no more than 7 steps. Okay, and then you want to give a bird's eye view of your process and how you can help. And then you can either go deep or wide in the webinar. And then to create content and ads around the webinar to promote it, right? You want to take one of the steps. Maybe it's step 5, maybe it's step 2, maybe it's step 3. You want to create a piece of content, a 3 to 5 minute video and an article that you can drive people to the actual webinar. And so once you have this piece of content, you promote it in all these social media channels, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You run Facebook ads to it to drive people to the actual capture page. All right. And the capture page is where they opt in for the webinar. And then the educate page is where they watch the webinar and get educated and pre-qualify on what you do and how you can help them. Then at the end of that webinar, right, they go to a schedule page where they can schedule an appointment with you. And then after they schedule an appointment with you, they go to a show up page where you tell them exactly what to expect, right, for what they need to do before the actual appointment. So that's the strategy and the step-by-step setup to actually create your webinar funnel. So I trust you found this helpful. If you would like help with any of the steps, then just go to aumclients.com. You can read more about how I can help you get people who are educated and pre-qualified on what you do and how you can and how you do it to actually schedule an appointment with you, where they come in for the appointment with an open mind about how you can help them. Again, my name is Chung Tang. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.